Hi everyone, happy Wednesday. Welcome back. And today we want to talk a little bit about the write-offs for events and entertainment. So, as the year is sort of coming to an end, we're getting to the fourth quarter. We're going to see a lot of the more of the events and celebrations, Christmas parties, and before we know it, it's upon us. So, I wanted to talk a little about what we could write off as a business expense. So, we could deduct 100% of the cost if the party is open to the general public or it's for employees and their spouses. And on the other hand, we could only deduct 50% if it's meant for clients, potential clients, and independent contractors. And I know that Irene and I were recently talking about a specific case about some of these issues that are coming up with the deductions. And I was curious for you to share that with our listeners because I think it's really important to keep a few of these things in mind before we start deducting those kind of big expenses as compared to the other ones that we usually see.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jane. For sure. So I think both of us are a little surprised by this case and the way that it's progressing, which just is another reminder that whether it's the Department of Finance in New York or the IRS, a lot of the times these agencies are very unpredictable. But one of my clients had expanded their business. They have about 10 locations in New York, and they were looking to expand into another state. And in order to do so, a lot of their distributors actually happened to be in that state. So it really made sense for their business. They do a lot of import export. And so the state that they would be expanding into would be really a primary hub. So that would actually become their headquarters. And so what they did was they did this big launch party, and they paid for quite an extravagant, large launch party. And the reason why it cost so much was because they marketed it at first, and they put their name out there, and they created these I hate to say flyers because they were much more extravagant than that, and they were mailed, and when you would open them up, they would have all these gifts come out. And so this was sent to all of their distributors. This was sent to all of the clients that they knew were in the new state. And then they hosted the event. They had entertainment, food, and so on. And all of that was part of this expansion. And then months went by, and between rental prices and just the cost of everything, they put the project on hold at least until 2025. And they decided that right now it just simply doesn't make sense. And so upon review and upon audit, they've been, it seems at least by working with a co-counsel as tax attorney on this matter, by working together with them, we've realized that we're both quite shocked. And I know, Jane, you and I talked, we're quite surprised, but this is not being seen as a legitimate business expense and a legitimate business deduction. And the mere fact that the event was hosted in furtherance of the business isn't enough. They're actually asking for more documentation. And so what they're asking for seems to be in line with, and it's not exact. And so none of this is necessarily to be taken as a rule of what you have to do. It's more so how important it is to pre-plan, because it seems that it's very open-ended. You're not going to find anywhere that it states exactly what's required for these types of events when they're for expansion. But it's, for now at least, the indication is that because there was no plan for the event, there was no business plan, and because the company was not yet incorporated in that state, that the actual event is being seen more as a personal event rather than a legitimate business deduction. And so we are quite surprised because, of course, the invites went out and we can share the contact information. But it's so important now that we're even having this conversation, just all the time that we say these things are so important to plan for, having that business plan for that expansion, rather than just saying we've established these 10 very successful locations in New York, we are now going to expand into another state. Getting that okay from your partner sometimes still isn't enough. And even having these flyers and marketing and branding this still isn't going to be enough. And actually, what's really going to be required is documenting the next steps, perhaps incorporating in that state, or some additional factors that we might be told throughout as this unravels. So we'll definitely keep everyone updated on this, but just a thought that sometimes it might seem so simple. Like, of course, it's going to be a business expense. It's for the purposes of furtherance of business. But clearly it's not always like that. So this is why we talk about things that sometimes seem like they should be rather self-explanatory, and we say, no, make sure you document them. They're for these types of situations that we see every single day. So if there are any questions from anyone, whether it has to do with that expansion or any sort of events deductions, especially as we get to the end of the year and we make our way into the fourth quarter, please feel free, reach out to Jane or I, and we're happy to answer any questions.
Thank you.